What's up, everybody? It is Charles. Today I'm here with Bogi from A Million Things Like Bogi's Garage, All Girls Garage, 180 Degrees Garage. That's because that's how hot it is in Phoenix in the summertime, and a million other things. Also a very good friend of mine, professional colleague, and a whole bunch more. Today we're going to give you guys 5 tips for starting your own shop. And who better than someone that did exactly this, right? When I say it, it's one thing, but when someone actually did it, it's a whole nother ballgame. So Bogi, you are a shop owner, BMW technician, TV superstar, internet famous gal.
I don't know about all that.
She wears glasses and has a black shirt on.
That part is true.
Probably plenty more. So let's jump into it. What is tip number 1 when a technician, who all of us I think this, I could open up my own shop and do a great job. What is tip number 1 for that technician to follow?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But kind of. So tip number 1 is be really clear on why you're doing it. Do your homework first. If your reason is, I want to have more flexibility, I want to have more time, I want to make more money, I want to be my own boss, I don't want to have to answer to anybody, revisit that. Because when you own your own shop, you have less time, you have less money, you have less flexibility with your time, and instead of just answering to one boss, you answer to all of them, meaning your employees are your bosses, the state is your boss, the city is your boss, the feds are your boss, all of your customers are your bosses, and you have to report to them. So know why you're doing it and put in the research and the time to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
I think the big reason too is like you think your boss sucks and he's doing a bad job and you could do better. You might be right, but really make sure that you're right before you do it instead of after.
Yeah, there are so many things that I understand why shops that I used to work for, why they did things the way they did now that I'm a boss and now that I run a company, because I can see the whole picture now. When I was a tech, all I saw was my piece of the puzzle. And then once you're the boss and you're like, oh, that's why they did that, because there's this whole other part of the world that I didn't know. Number 2, if you want to still be a technician or a mechanic and you want to turn wrenches, I don't recommend starting your own shop. This is becoming a list of why not to start a shop.
You know what though? I think honestly though, sometimes this is what we need to hear instead of, you know, me, because I'm going to be a cheerleader, do it. Like that's my nature. And I think here's the reasons why I wouldn't is equally, if not more valuable. So let's hit that number 2.
So not just in automotive world, but in pretty much any industry, people do this all across the country. They say, I'm really good at doing this thing, so I'm going to start a business doing this thing and make all the money for myself instead of working for a boss. And then what happens is you get into being a business owner and you stop getting to do the thing that you love doing. If you love turning wrenches and diagnosing cars, do that. If you become a shop owner, you're not doing that. You're doing bookkeeping, you're doing advertising, you're doing human resources, you're dealing with legal, you're dealing with all of the other things, and you're gonna find yourself eventually, if you're doing it right, sitting behind a desk instead of out in the shop working on cars, which is not why most of us got into this.
All right, 1 and 2 are done. What do you got for 3?
Okay, number 3, you've decided this is what you wanna do. Remember, you don't have to go it alone.
I think this one is huge.
So there's 2 different ways that this could be translated. One is you can partner with someone. So if you decide you're the person who wants to wrench and that's what you wanna do, awesome. Partner with somebody who likes to crunch numbers and wants to sit in the office and do the rest of it and deal with the customers and all of the other parts and pieces.
That would be how I would have to do it. I'm not the number cruncher. I can, I just don't want to. So that's how I would have to do it.
Then you want to be a technician, not a business owner. Just saying. Because you kind of, even if you partner with someone, you do want to understand some of this so you can make sure you're keeping your partner on track. If you don't know how to read the P&L, or if you don't know what a P&L is, you're not going to be able to know if your partner is stealing from you and you can't figure out why you're not making any money. So you still need to know the stuff, but partnering with somebody is a really good option. The other way in which I say you don't have to go it alone is there's a lot of great resources out there. There's mastermind groups, there's management training, there's programs for business owners that don't even exist in the automotive world. They're outside of the automotive world, but business is business is business, and it all applies. So find peers, find mentors, learn from other people's mistakes, partner with somebody, but go get yourself educated, because if you just dive in, you're gonna fail. They say like 95% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
It's super high. And I would say make sure you're partnering with someone that is the complement of your weakness. Don't hire or partner with someone like you and your tech buddy who just know fixing cars, you might not make the best two business people out there. So partner with someone that is the opposite and does the things that you're not good at. Because if you're the same person, essentially, you both have the same weakness.
Yeah.
Number 4, let's hear it.
Number 4 is have a bigger reason why you're going into business.
Oh, not just because you hate your boss.
Not just because you hate your boss, because this becomes your marketing strategy too. So if you go to your customers or to your community and you're trying to differentiate your shop from the 9,000 other shops down the road, how do we differentiate? You can't just say, well, because I fix cars right the first time. That's great. That should be the expected.
That's bare minimum.
Right? That's like saying that you should come to my restaurant because my food won't make you sick.
That's
right?
that's a standard for me.
It should be standard. Fixing the car right should be the standard. But if you have a bigger why, whether it's to give back into the community, whether it's to raise up new technicians, whether it's to be a part of changing the perception of the automotive industry, whatever that reason is, maybe you want to donate a percentage of your proceeds to, I don't know, autism research. I don't know what your thing is, but have a thing. Have a reason why you're doing this that's bigger than I want to make more money and I don't want to work for my boss, because your customers don't care about that. But if you have a unique selling proposition that makes you a high value and why should a customer go to you instead of the thousands of other places right down the street?
I'll add, that doesn't mean have a gimmick so much as make sure this is like the core construct of your business, right? The ethos of your business. All right, to wrap it up, number 5. Now, guys, let me just say, we're talking about 5 things. There's probably 5,000 things. This is just like some of the biggest things from experience of being a technician and opening a shop. So don't think like if you cover these bases, you're good and you're gonna have this multi-million-dollar business, right? There's a lot more to it.
Yes.
But Bogi, hit us with number 5.
All right, number 5 is you need to be comfortable with your numbers. And that is the thing that most people hate the most about being in business for themselves. You need to know your numbers. You need to look at them on a regular basis. You need to know how much it costs you every day that your doors are open, every minute that your doors are open, so that you are doing and making the right decisions to make sure you're profitable. Way too many businesses are just doing their due every day. They're running like in their little treadmill and their little hamster wheel, and they're working their butts off and they're busy, but they're not making any money. And it's because they don't know. They don't know where's all the money going. Right. You've got to look at your numbers on a regular basis and get really comfortable with them.
And I think there's a lot that I know, had I started my own shop in say 2010 when I was like full-on dealership technicians, there's a million things I wouldn't have thought of. Where do I buy brake clean? Is it cheaper to buy in a 55-gallon drum, or is it cheaper to buy little cans? What about rags? What about insurance? What about insurance for my employees? Do I want employees? I don't know, right? All the things that you don't know. How much is an alignment rack going to cost? How long is it going to take me to pay off that alignment rack if I do 3.1 alignments a day for 5 days a week for how many years, right? All those things. And if you don't know, if you don't know that stuff, I'm not saying you're not going to be a successful business. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. But you should learn that stuff before it's costing dollars out of your pocket, instead of diving in, spending $300,000 to open up this shop and not having any idea how you're going to pay for the equipment, how you're going to keep your employees fed, right? It's like being a technician. I only really worry about my own paycheck. Sure, there's an advisor upstream that, gets their paycheck based on what I do, and a service manager based on what I do. But now you got to flip that funnel around, because your paycheck as a business owner is probably the least important paycheck in the whole building. That technician you hired, you need to keep them fed. That advisor, that office manager, everybody has to earn theirs. And then, like, if there's
anything left,
right, you get that. So,
and don't just say, if those of you out there saying, well, I'm not going to have employees, it's going to be just me. Well, then you don't own a business, you own a job. Because what happens when you're sick? What happens when you want to take a vacation? You're not making any money. Right. So now you're tied to this and you're stuck. So if you want to be a business owner, you're going to have employees, and that is going to become part of the equation.
In that space, absolutely. And honestly, at that point, I would say, well, what would be the difference between that and just having a job at a dealership where you have benefits, where you have health insurance, where you have the HR person that can bail you out and help you out. And also understand you're going to be paying way more in taxes, right? All those fees. You said you have the state, the city, the county, the federal, right? All those things. really, you need to make sure you put the time, energy, effort, money into learning how to do this, making sure you understand all the regulations, because County A and County B may have different regulations, right? Make sure you do the research before you do it. I am in no way discouraging anyone from doing it, because I am the biggest cheerleader of doing your own thing.
Agreed.
Whatever the thing is, I just don't want to see, you know, you have to in 5 years shut down your doors and you're $1 million in debt because you didn't know what you were doing and didn't take the initiative to learn that kind of stuff before you were $1 million in debt.
Biggest mistake I made. I quit my job with $200 to my name and called all my friends and said, I'm going to start my own shop, start bringing your cars to me. And I knew nothing about being a business owner. And it took me 3 years of being insane, out of my mind, pulling my hair out, woo busy, running around like a lunatic, not making any money before I said, this is not sustainable. I need to learn. And I dove into education and I rewrote my business and I learned how to systematize it. And I learned how to be a business owner. And then I became successful. But if you can save those 3 years of craziness that I went through by doing the education and the research up front, then you're ahead of the curve.
So that's it. 5 awesome tips. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, as always, drop them down below. I will link up all Bogi's stuff, even though you probably already know that and follow her anyway. I'll link that down in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.